Hi, today on a little short video about Guy Fawkes. Now, this illustration comes from the Cruickshank illustrations on this comic almanac, which I showed the other day, but I forgot that it had this one. I showed this, but I forgot to see the meaning, what was on this. This is November, for the month of November. There you go. George Cruickshank. And you've got here, I didn't realise who it was. I thought it was just somebody playing around. Here you can see, this is what they call a guy. Now, when I was growing up, you got your father's old trousers, you got an old shirt, you stuffed them with old rags or straw or something like that. You got some old gloves, old socks. You got something to make his head, either some sort of turnip or you got a bit of cloth and made it into a round ball and stuck it as a head with a hat on top. So here they're carrying the Guy. So this is Guy, and it's to do with the gunpowder plot. Remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot is the rhyme people used to say. And so you made this guy up, and on Guy Fawkes Day, you'd set up a bonfire and burn the Guy. So it's symbolic of burning Guy Fawkes. Now, Guy Fawkes was a Catholic who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. This was the time of, he was James the First of England, but James the Sixth of Scotland. He united the two countries personally. They both still carried on as separate countries, but he was James the Sixth of Scotland and James the First of England. His mother was Mary, Queen of Scots, who was beheaded by Elizabeth. But she was a Catholic, but he was brought up away from his mother, and he was brought up as a Protestant, and he was very devout as a Protestant. And so the Catholics weren't very happy with this. England had only been separated from the Church of Rome for a few years. And so there were still a number of people who wanted to bring back Catholicism to England. One of them was Guy Fawkes, who put a load of gunpowder under Parliament and was hoping to blow it up. But a person who was going, a friend of Guy Fawkes who knew about the plot, gave a slight indication to a member of Parliament who was his friend, I think it was even a relation, that thing not to go on that day. And then it queried it, and they became a bit suspicious about what was this all about. And eventually they found the gunpowder, they found Guy Fawkes under House of Parliament. He was arrested, tortured, and eventually killed. I think he was hung, drawn and quartered after a number of days being tortured. So the 5th of November became a celebration of the failure of this plot to blow up Parliament. If Parliament had been blown up, King James I would have been killed. A very large number of the aristocracy or the ruling class of England would have been blown up with him. And this would have been a bit of chaos. And Guy Fawkes hoped that in this chaos, the Catholic revolt would come out and they would take over the throne and England would become Catholic again. So since those days, people made these replicas of Guy Fawkes, and on Guy Fawkes Day, they made a bonfire and he was thrown onto the bonfire. Now, when I was growing up, this was quite a big thing. You would make a guy out of all this old material to make him look like a person. Now here they've got him on a sort of stretcher. In my day, you'd put him in some sort of thing like a wooden trolley that was used sometimes for kids would use to race around on the ground or go down hills on. Or in my case, I used a wheelbarrow. You got him into a wheelbarrow, make him look as realistic as possible. You take him to a place where there's a lot of people walking past, often out just in front of a shop because people are coming in and out of the shops. And then, like this guy here is doing, you would go up to people and say, "Can you give us a penny for the guy, mister?" And when you got all your pennies, if you got any, if they did give you any money, you'd then go to the shop and buy fireworks. Now, in those days, you know, I would have been about 8 or 9. Most people were that sort of age when we went and got fireworks. It wasn't illegal in those days. And you bought small fireworks like sparklers, handheld sparklers. You had Roman candles, little Vesuvius type things. But also you got things like jumping jacks. These were like a folded up firework that you lit one end, threw it onto the ground, and it exploded and it bounced up and down. So it was like a jumping jack, or it was like a frog, really, like a frog bouncing from one place to another. It'd explode and then bounce somewhere else. And it was supposed to give it enjoyment because people would not know where it was going to go and where it was going to land, and suddenly it explode near you. So very dangerous in those days, but that was the way things were in those days. Also, you got bangers, which were like a little tube of gunpowder with a fuse at one end. You lit it and you threw it, often near people so that it would give them shock. But again, it was very dangerous. And in my day, in the 50s, early 60s, after Guy Fawkes Day, you always had a news item about how many people had been burnt during Guy Fawkes, because some people had burnt their hands, burnt their legs, fell in the fire, all sorts of things happened. So you can see back in 1835, they were still doing this with this guy, and he looks like he's got a pipe in his mouth, and this boy asking this guy, "A penny for the guy, mister." I'm not sure what these two are doing in the background, but you can see that this tradition has been going on for over 200 years. And I think that shows you that these things last for a long time and have been done for a long time. People making Guy Fawkes like this hasn't happened. I can't remember it happening since maybe the 70s, that the last time I saw anybody with making this guy and asking for money. So it's gone out of fashion nowadays. Also, you can't buy small fireworks anymore. You have to buy boxes, and you have to be, I believe, over 18 or 16 at least to buy any fireworks. But in those days, you could just buy fireworks when you were quite young, 8 or 9. You know, they would sell them to you, and that would be the way it was. So this shows you that this has been going on for a number of years, and I hope that gives you an idea of English traditions about Guy Fawkes and the November the 8th. I'll be coming back with some more Cruickshank illustrations. It looks like people like these. I've got some more for this whole book is full of these illustrations. It does give you this insight into life lived at that time, because people in that time, because they hadn't got TVs and radios and that, their life was outside the house, as it is today, mainly in places like Spain and France, where it's hotter. People live their life outside the house. England used to be the same. When I used to come back from school, I got changed, and my parents would say, "You go outside and don't come back until tea time." So I'd go out and play with my friends in the street, and that's how it was, and then have tea. And if it was in the summer, after tea, you'd then be told to go out and play again. So people lived in the streets in those days, and this, I think, shows up in these caricatures of this city life, that all sorts of people were outside and they were interacting with each other. Nowadays, people are much more insulated. They tend to be much more focused on just their friends. But in those days, people were out and about, and they were always interacting with each other. I hope this was of some interest. I will be coming back to you with some more videos. Please hit the old thumbs up. That does help a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because that does help, and it doesn't cost anything, and it does help me. And I hope you found this of interest. I know that there is another Cruickshank one which shows pancake tossing, so I'll show you that next video, and we'll talk about pancake tossing as an event in English society. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye.